Chapter 20 Acquaintance with Religions. Towards the end of my second year in England, I came across two theosophists, brothers, and both unmarried. They talked to me about the Gita. They were reading Sir Edwin Arnold's translation, the song Celestial, and they invited me to read the original with them. I felt ashamed, as I had read the divine poem neither in Sanskrit nor in Gujarati. I was constrained to tell them that I had not read the Gita, but that I would gladly read it with them, and that though my knowledge of Sanskrit was meager, still I hoped to be able to understand the original to the meaning. I began reading the Gita with them. The verses in the second chapter: if one ponders on objects of the sense, there springs attraction. From attraction grows desire, desire flames to fierce passion, passion breeds recklessness, then the memory all betrayed lets noble purpose go, and saps the mind, till purpose, mind, and man are all undone. Made a deep impression on my mind, and they still ring in my ears. The book struck me as one of priceless worth. The impression has ever since been growing on me, with the result that I regard it today as the book par excellence for the knowledge of truth. It has afforded me invaluable help in my moments of gloom. I have read almost all the English translations of it, and I regard Sir Edwin Arnold's as the best. He has been faithful to the text, and yet it does not read like a translation. Though I read the Gita with these friends, I cannot pretend to have studied it then. It was only after some years that it became a book of daily reading. The brothers also recommended The Light of Asia by Sir Edwin Arnold, whom I knew till then as the author only of the song Celestial, and I read it with even greater interest than I did the Bhagavad Gita. Once I had begun it, I could not leave off. They also took me on one occasion to the Blavatsky Lodge and introduced me to Madame Blavatsky and Mrs. Besant. The latter had just then joined the Theosophical Society, and I was following with great interest the controversy about her conversion. The friends advised me to join the society, but I politely declined, saying, with my meager knowledge of my own religion, I do not want to belong to any religious body. I recall having read, at the brothers' instance, Madame Blavatsky's Key to Theosophy. This book stimulated in me the desire to read books on Hinduism, and disabused me of the notion fostered by the missionaries that Hinduism was rife with superstition. About the same time I met a good Christian from Manchester in a vegetarian boarding house. He talked to me about Christianity. I narrated to him my Rajkot recollections. He was pained to hear them. He said, I am a vegetarian. I do not drink. Many Christians are meat eaters and drink, no doubt, but neither meat eating nor drinking is enjoined by Scripture. Do please read the Bible. I accepted his advice, and he got me a copy. I have a faint recollection that he himself used to sell copies of the Bible, and I purchased from him an edition containing maps, concordance, and other aids. I began reading it, but I could not possibly read through the Old Testament. I read the book of Genesis, and the chapters that followed invariably sent me to sleep. But just for the sake of being able to say that I had read it, I plodded through the other books with much difficulty and without the least interest or understanding. I disliked reading the book of Numbers, but the New Testament produced a different impression, especially the Sermon on the Mount, which went straight to my heart. I compared it with the Gita. The verses, but I say unto you, that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if any man take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak too. Delighted me beyond measure and put me in mind of Shamelbats for a bowl of water, give a goodly meal, etc. My young mind tried to unify the teaching of the Gita, the Light of Asia, and the Sermon on the Mount. That renunciation was the highest form of religion appealed to me greatly. This reading whetted my appetite for studying the lives of other religious teachers. A friend recommended Carlyle's Heroes and Hero Worship. I read the chapter on the hero as a prophet and learned of the prophet's greatness and bravery and austere living. Beyond this acquaintance with religion I could not go at the moment, as reading for the examination left me scarcely any time for outside subjects. But I took mental note of the fact that I should read more religious books and acquaint myself with all the principal religions. And how could I help knowing something of atheism too? Every Indian knew Bradlaugh's name and his so-called atheism. I read some book about it, the name of which I forget. It had no effect on me, for I had already crossed the Sahara of atheism. Mrs. Besant, who was then very much in the limelight, had turned to theism from atheism. I had read her book How I Became a Theosophist. It was about this time that Bradlaugh died. He was buried in the working cemetery. I attended the funeral, as I believe every Indian residing in London did. A few clergymen also were present to do him the last honours. On our way back from the funeral we had to wait at the station for our train. A champion atheist from the crowd heckled one of these clergymen. "Well, sir, you believe in the existence of God?" "I do," said the good man in a low tone. "You also agree that the circumference of the earth is 28,000 miles, don't you?" said the atheist with a smile of self-assurance. "Indeed." "Pray tell me then the size of your God and where he may be?" "Well, if we but knew. He resides in the hearts of us both." Now, don't take me to be a child," said the champion with a triumphant look at us. The clergyman assumed a humble silence. This talk still further increased my prejudice against atheism.